I think the writing is probably some of the best in the series so far. At least I personally feel that.
You will see, there definitely has been a little bit of a downgrade.
I don't like having to wait, but that's also because this season was, in my opinion, not as strong narratively.
Invincible is incredible.
Full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen.
I wouldn't even keep you as a slave in my empire!
Rival worm. I am conquesting it. I am conquesting it. I am conquesting it.
Because sometimes, to change the entire universe, you have to be...
So, I will admit it did take me some time to eventually get to this community, but most of you Invincible fans are going to be waiting even longer for the next season, so fuck you, I guess. But Invincible released its first season back in 2021. Yes, it's been 4 years. Ever since COVID, I think my time perception has been somewhat altered, because the past few years feel like a fever dream, and then suddenly here I am in the current year with the third season just finished. Is this how aging works? Am I gonna be cremated soon? But existential crisis to the side, you look ugly today by the way, your grandmother lied to you. Ever since the first season of Invincible, I've been hooked on the series. And obviously, spoilers ahead, if you haven't watched the latest season or even the first episode, come on. This is an Invincible video, of course there are going to be spoilers, so be warned. But I liked it very much from the first season. I thought the story was very good, although some people have their complaints about it, which we'll speak about later, and I personally have already had the entire story spoiled for me from YouTube Shorts. Don't worry, I won't do the same to you, I'm not that much of a penis. But I will say the man with a crisp hairline is coming, and so many good fights and plot points are yet to come. But I also liked the animation a lot, especially in Season 1, which is also another thing people complain about, and something I'll talk about later. I especially liked how in the first season, Omni-Man is basically evil Superman, and he executes essentially a parody of the Justice League, brutally to the point where it mimics a fraction of Live Leak's power, just after we learned about their characters and their sob stories, just for all of them to be ganked and never brought up again. I actually completely forgot about most of them except for the fish guy due to a storyline relating to him in Season 2. I also think it's important to note the comic book for Invincible was created all the way back in 2003. Yes, the evil Superman trope and plot twist existed before The Boys, contrary to popular belief, and the creator of Invincible actually worked on some Marvel comics. There's even a comic with Invincible and Spider-Man, and he also worked on the Walking Dead comics, which is telling. He actually ended up leaving Marvel and going on to create his own studio, probably down to Marvel being Marvel. And that studio went on to make the Walking Dead games, which we all know and love. But the first episode is a good hook, and it shows how graphic the series can get, which I didn't expect. To be honest, I thought it was going to be like Young Justice or even Teen Titans. No, not that one. And the casting choice made the first episode even better, I think. Especially with Omni-Man.
And who is now weeping and slobbering all over my drum set like a f***ing 9-year-old girl. Are a worthless, friendless
The show also has very good music. Yeah, I enjoyed David and my favourite Pink Boy Joji in the latest season, but the obvious winner is Tom Tom. That song is pure testosterone and gives you the best excuse to genocide a race. But with Invincible backed by Amazon, it was clear that from Season 1 this show was going to come out punching. I just really wish they would buy the rights to Halo. I would do anything for a good animated Halo show. I'd do leg days 7 times a week, relinquish my foreskin and sacrifice my ability to make fun of Americans that did not spawn in with theirs. Just give me a good animated Halo show like The Fall of Reach or Halo Legends, please. Not what we've been given recently. But enough of my bitching about how I personally like Invincible and my wishes that will never be granted. Today we are talking about the lovely Invincible community that since the release of the latest season has had its fair share of problems, critiques, and abominations. But first we need to understand the tempo of the community and some of the creations within it.
I am omning it. I am omning it so good. For Viltron.
So there's a lot of memes that came from the Invincible community, and I'm talking about a lot. I've never seen a community this creative since, I don't know, Has Been Hotel. I've personally seen a lot of them on Instagram Reels, so yeah, they were used in a racist context. But probably the first widespread meme in the Invincible community was the Think Mark Think meme, which every other community adopted. Obviously you've got the title card meme every time somebody said the title would flash on the screen, something they poked fun at in the actual show, and with the amount of times it flashed on the screen for that episode, it definitely induced a seizure on at least one child. But this is one of my favourite memes from the Invincible community. Not the original though, I like it when they change the text in the background. At least the ones that were recommended to me from Instagram Reels. No, not the racist ones. The Christian ones for some reason go really hard though, like Halo 2 Sniper Jackal hard.
Aren't you?
Unironically, the best and least racist thing I've seen on Instagram Reels. More recently, you've had the "Are you sure" meme.
Are you sure?
Which the animation studio itself recognized, which means the meme is officially dead when a corporate entity finally catches onto it. Admittedly, they were pretty quick to recognize this, it was only been out a month. It usually takes corporate years to get up to date with the most minuscule trends. Do I need to remind you about the Wendy's commercial?
It's generating reactions from everyone, like the memer.
Ooh, eat spicy goodness like a boss.
You've got the lesser known memes like the "Let me break it down for you."
Let me break it down for you, Mark.
You've got the Invincible variants meme, which Instagram absolutely loved, and many Instagram users adopted some of the variants as their own personas on Instagram, which lasted about a week, and some people made their own variants, and one variant I did see on Instagram Reels was obviously listening to Kanye's new song. You've also got the more disappointing omniing it.
Omning it. I am omning it so good.
Invincing it.
Oh, I'm invincible.
Allening it.
I'm Allening it so good, you need to goon Mark.
Conquesting it.
Conquesting it. I am conquesting it. I am conquesting it. You need to goon Mark. Goon for Viltron.
This basically summarizes the Invincible community. You've got the "I wouldn't even keep you as a slave in my empire" meme.
I wouldn't even keep you as a slave in my empire!
Which wasn't very accurate to the comics because he was burning down the Tower of London, not the White House or whatever this is in the background. The British did already do that, but once again the Invincible community did like this format. And the last one is also another favourite of mine, and something that pissed me off in the show, and made a Fetty Wap remix very popular, which was the Rexplode meme.
Thing left!
Mm-hmm. And what's that?
My entire goddamn skeleton! Dickhead!
Now what I hate most about this is that towards the end of season 2, Rex goes from the most hated character in the show to someone everybody in the fanbase likes, showing the indomitable human spirit, and that with adrenaline we probably could beat that gorilla. And even in season 3 they start showing him in a positive light, to the point where he was even my favourite character, where previously I thought of him as like a cum stain in a gas station bathroom. And when he got that bullet in the head, I did not care. But after getting the bullet, there was only positive PR from there. And then when he's at his all-time peak, they just kill him.
Thing left!
Mm-hmm. And what's that?
I'm about to blow.
Like, I know they can't change the story from the comics. I know the entire character arc was to make us like him, and then to give us whiplash by taking him away, which did work. The cum was dripping, especially when they combined it with sad music, and it did work. It was a great plot point. But please go against the comics, please just bring him back, give him a Tome of Undying or a Phoenix up Gobblegum. And this probably would have done best in the next section of this video, but from this, people absolutely hated Kate and Immortal because those characters thought they had done enough, even though one of them was hiding away for half the season, and they get a happy ending instead of Rex. So they quickly turned into the most hated characters of the show. Deserved. But you also have memes that rival Lobotomy Kaizen.
How much is it for the sandwich?
That's a $10 bacon, egg, and cheese.
Bacon, nugget, cheese, bacon, nugget.
I mean, even Gypsy Crusader got involved with this.
Hi.
Are you sure? Wait, can I take a picture of, like, my friends love Invincible?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, wait.
All right, wait. Tell me when you're ready. Tell me when you're ready.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
But you now know some of the areas of the Invincible community. You've got the harmless part that make questionable memes. Then you've got the slightly racist part, mostly found on Instagram, because that is Instagram. But with that knowledge in mind, we can look at some of the problems the community faces, especially with the show.
Oh, someone misses their mommy.
So one of the main problems the community has with the show is down to the animation and how it has slowly degraded from the first episode, some even saying from the first season. It is somewhat inconsistent where you can get animated masterpieces and then something in a later episode that looks like a PNG being dragged across the screen. The criticism grew even more in later seasons, to the point where in season 2 they made a nod to the lower quality of their own animation within the show itself.
Not for another year. Sorry, animation takes a long time, but we cut corners in other places to make it manageable. You ever notice that sometimes whoever's speaking has their mouth off camera so you never see their lips moving?
None of what I just said was true, by the way. The joke I was referring to was actually in the comic, but in the comic it was about comics, not about animation, and in the show adaptation they changed that. I've seen way too many people use that scene as evidence to prove they know they're making the show with not the best animation quality, but no, it was a joke in the comic they changed for the animation. You do not need to look into it that deep. But the criticism towards the animation grew even more since the release of season 3. And videos of people comparing fan animations to the official animations saying fans did it better became a running gag within the community. But me personally, I only noticed the animation after I saw people on the animation. I watched all 3 seasons without even noticing it, so I might just be a bit slow or not an animation genius. But then again, I thought Johnny Test was a masterpiece, but apparently it's a contender for the worst animated show. But to the credit of the animators of the show, they finished season 2 of Invincible in April 2024, albeit with a break in between. Then in February 2025, we got greeted with the first 3 episodes of season 3. So there was a 10-month gap between those seasons, which is actually really good for an animated TV show. But to be fair, they did have a 2-year gap between season 1 and season 2, and the animation was around the same quality. But majority of the time, the fight scenes are always well animated, which is the main reason people watch this show. But many people don't actually blame the animation studios themselves, at least for the lack of animation. They more blame the corporate overlords at Amazon for probably enforcing tight deadlines to release episodes, so they had less time to focus on things like lighting, which is why the fan animations look way better than the original. Once again, I didn't even notice there was bad animations in this show. And I also didn't see any problems with the voice acting, which is the next problem the community had with this show, and it was mainly down to the voice actor behind Conquest.
Stand ready for my arrival, worm.
Initially, people thought the voice actor behind Conquest wasn't a good choice, but little did they know this was Destiny, Negan vs Glenn, the showdown of the century. But in all seriousness, the voice actor for Conquest was fine, but some people in the community thought his voice did not match Conquest, and that the voice of Conquest was too high, like he was pinching his testicles. Stand ready for my arrival, worm! And they wanted him to sound like Corpse Husband on sulfur hexafluoride, and this was probably due to the fan animations that were made before the episode aired.
Stand ready for my arrival, worm.
You have been appointed the Viltrumite agent of this planet.
But after episode 8, the criticism died down, especially after the lonely speech by Conquest, because he did do a good job.
I'm so lonely. All the other Viltrumites are scared of me.
You need to goon mark.
Also, another point on the voice acting, I didn't know Cecil was voiced by Walter Goggins. Most of the animation budget probably went to hiring him anyway.
All the teachers are sticking their cocks in my mouth. Hoss is behind me fucking me up the ass.
But the last problem out of all the other things the community apparently hated about this show was the story, which upon hearing I thought it's based on a comic. How can you blame the show for the story? But this was regarding the power scaling within the show, or lack thereof, and it's also a running joke in the community that he may be invincible, but he gets his ass beat every fight. Even after his training arc, he still loses to some bugs, which the Necron robots can easily beat, and then he goes toe-to-toe with Conquest, admittedly with help. Yeah, this criticism is completely valid. The only excuse I can think of for this is in Season 2 where Mark is constantly holding back, but when he doesn't hold back he can be OP. But yeah, I do get this criticism. The only reason I can think of why this is so inconsistent in the story is down to things like character development, and his character has changed somewhat from getting his ass beat consistently. But if he was winning every fight it wouldn't be that entertaining, but then again, there is One Punch Man. Or maybe Invincible is just like Alan, and every time he gets his ass beat, he gets stronger. I'm not spoiling the comic, don't worry. So in conclusion, Invincible is a good show, I would recommend it, just don't stare or fixate too much on the animation. The community is also very creative and somewhat cursed, especially on Instagram, and some of the critiques they do offer is somewhat valid, and others, they're just complaining to complain. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say, and bye bye.